Hello students, I'm Himani Sharma. I warmly welcome you all on our YouTube platform, Drishti Teaching Exams, where we in today's video are going to talk about some important, yet important, another group of feminists which were there. So, there have been multiple videos which we have made, which are concerning feminist literary theory. One way or the other, they are going to get uploaded, of course. But I want you guys to make some crisp notes for your own self when it concerns different theories. So you know that these videos are coming in chunks to you and they are related one way or the other with one literary theory. For example, Russian formalism. For example, if we try to talk about feminist literary theory or post-structuralism. So what is the agenda here? That we will try to create some videos of the important theorists with their major works and all, and later on there will be PYQs. Now that can be in a shuffled manner, that is completely okay, but the major chunk here is for you to note down and make your notes in such a manner that later on when you are revising literary theory, you are not worried about ye term reh gaya, ये author रह गया, ये कोई रह गया, कुछ नहीं होना चाहिए, right? So, who are we going to discuss in today's video? We are going to discuss Woolf, Beauvoir and Millett. Virginia Woolf, Simone de Beauvoir and Kate Millett. These are the three feminists that we are yet left with and we are going to deal them in today's video. Moving forward with Virginia Woolf. She was one such person who was a novelist and essayist as well. And she was somewhere or the other associated with a group which came out to be known as the Bloomsbury group. So if you know that who were the members of the Bloomsbury group, you can drop it down in the comment section below, right? Coming back to the important point to note down here is, if we try to talk about Virginia Woolf, she is very pivotal figure in the London's literary society, literary figure in the London's literary society during the interwar period. So she is one such person who was living during the times of World War. She comes in the modern age. And if we try to talk about the modern age, people were trying to lament about things, and we have also seen that how in America, majorly we see the wave of feminism moving ahead, shoving things in the people's faces when it comes to asking questions and answering things, when it was all in all related to the patriarchy that was supposed to be questioned now. Right? So we see her being an important figure even in the Bloomsbury group, which was a group of writers where they discussed things, they wrote certain things, so on and so forth. Right? Somewhere or the other, if we talk about one important figure who was not really a member of the Bloomsbury group, just giving you an important fact here. वो member नहीं थे इस group के, लेकिन he was somewhere or the other associated. When he visited England, he came in touch with Woolf and the group, who was an Indian writer. His name was Mulk Rajanand. श्री मुल्क राजानंद जी जो थे, वो Bloomsbury group में मिले थे, उन लोग को मिलके आए थे. ठीक है, ये कोई fact है ऐसे important बताने के लिए. Now moving forward with the works of Virginia Woolf that you guys are supposed to note down and take a note of. Now these writers, when we try to talk about them, if you've got the time, you can read the entire essay, A Room of One's Own. If you've got the time, and if you have such reading ability, right, even if you don't have the reading ability, try to skim through the parts, right, because they are important. Now at times we have seen that they are asking questions related to quotes and all, so we do not want to miss out on important things. जैसे कि वो यहाँ पे एक fictional sister create करेंगे. She will create a fictional sister named Judith Judith Shakespeare, right? So we see that how that woman is created and how she tries to question the role of patriarchy, that if she would have been given the liberty, she would have been given the freedom to write much and more about her own self and to present herself out in the world, she would have been a much more prominent, pivotal, important writer than Shakespeare. Shakespeare, because he was a man, he was given the privilege to write and to be there in the societal groups, in the gatherings. But being a woman in the Elizabethan century, we see that thing was not happening with the women during those eras, right? So, what are the important works here? Important works, A Room of One's Own, which was published in the year 1929. Then we had Three Guineas, which was published in the year 1938, which is a part fiction, part non-fiction, later on divided into two parts, right? A Room of One's Own originated from the 1928 lectures at Oxbridge. Now, why have I written Oxbridge here? Because Woolf had given lectures in Oxford University and Cambridge. तो उसको fictionally create करके she creates an entity which she creates in her work and calls it Oxbridge, right? Emphasizing what are the major themes which she, or the question that she tries to pose to the reader. She says that women need financial independence. They should be financially independent, how they should be spending their money, what they should be buying, so on and so forth. And she talks about if women want to be writers, if somebody wants to go for fictional writing or some sort of writing, they should be provided with that space, right? So she says and she utters these particular themes, and that undertone is somewhere or the other in the entire work we see. A woman should be given a room of her own if she is to write fiction. This is what she says in her essay, कि अगर उसको fiction लिखना है, अगर उसको कुछ लिखना है, तो उसको money भी चाहिए और उसको हमारा personal freedom भी चाहिए. Right? Then we move forward. She advances the feminist perspective by highlighting the societal barriers for women. I told you already, through the depiction of Judith Shakespeare, the fictional sister. This is a PYQ they asked in the NET examination, that who was the fictional sister created by Woolf in her essay A Room of One's Own. So we see Judith Shakespeare create करती हैं वो यहाँ पे, and she says that how the society was not letting her move ahead in her life because there were many barriers that she was yet to overcome, and women उस time पे नहीं, कुछ ऐसा था ही नहीं. Judith Shakespeare was the character that she tries to talk about and give an example of in the fictional work, right? Non-fictional work and the fictional works as well, we see how she writes in the stream of consciousness. So she, being a woman in the modern age, she tries to put ahead the point, because अभी भी women जो थी उनको back step पे रखा जा रहा था, but she wanted to speak for them. She wanted someone to take a step ahead. That's why we read her in this particular stance. That was the work A Room of One's Own. Next we have Simone de Beauvoir. An important and a very interesting fact about her is that she was the partner, उनका जो बॉयफ्रेंड थे वो हमारे जॉन पॉल सार्त्रे थे, एंड शी इज कंसिडर्ड टू बी वन ऑफ द इम्पोर्टेंट pioneering French feminists who were focusing much and more on the body and the call to arms to take some responsibility, take some accountability for your own body, take some step ahead for your own body rather than the society telling you what to do, what to skip and all. Right? And she bridges the gap between the first and second wave feminism. The important work is Second Sex. इसका year भी पूछा गया है नेट के एग्जामिनेशन में. So if we try to talk about Virginia Woolf's work, A Room of One's Own, The Second Sex, you need to know the dates, of course. You need to know the years, not the dates properly, but the years. It explores the gender asymmetry, challenging the discrimination based on three parts: biological, how we are physically different from the male counterparts; how we are psychologically, women, we have read particular things about women that they are more emotional rather than being practical, right? And economic fronts, because we are not given that much importance. Now we are, of course, but she tries to talk about it in that particular century. कि women को ना हम जो है, how we are different from the male counterparts on the physical appearance, ठीक है, on the psychological part, how we think, how we mentally process things, and how economically हम लोग को equality दी जा रही है या नहीं. She says, no, one is not born but rather becomes a woman because the society asks you to behave in such a manner. एक woman जो है घर संभालती है, बच्चे पैदा करती है. This is what the society has portrayed since many years. So she quotes and she says this particular line in her work, that one is not born but rather becomes a woman. बिकॉज आपको सोसाइटी बोल के पिंक कपड़े पहनने, ये करना है, वो करना है, सब कुछ आपको कहती है सोसाइटी, कंडीशन करती है, तो आप ऐसा सोचने लगते हो. स्टार्ट थिंकिंग लाइक दैट, राइट? She distinguishes between sex and gender, emphasizing the societal shaping of womanhood. Already gave you an example of that. She advocates breaking free from objectification to dismantle patriarchy. She says that we need to be and we need to be done away with everything where we are being objectified as women, right? And she has written multiple novels such as, if we try to see, She Came to Stay, Ethics and Other Philosophical Studies like Ethics of Ambiguity 1947. These were the novel 1943 and the philosophical study. These were before she wrote The Second Sex in the year 1949. So, अगर आपको chronology में लिखना है, you can write it down like that. But please mention that this is a non-fictional work or a fictional work, so on and so forth, right? Then we have the next and the last prominent feminist for today. Her name is Kate Millett. Now, Millett was also interested to learn about how patriarchy works on different levels. She wrote her PhD thesis, right? She wrote her PhD thesis, which she later on titled as Sexual Politics, which got published in the year 1970. She was an American feminist, artist and an author, was a pivotal figure in the early women's liberation movement, right? And how her work is also related to gender and sexuality. I already told you, ये question भी पूछा गया है that Kate Millett के PhD thesis को क्या नाम दिया गया था? What was the PhD thesis of Kate Millett named as? So it was Sexual Politics 1970. He held degrees from the University of Minnesota and Oxford. After teaching, she pursued a PhD in Columbia University with her acclaimed thesis, which became Sexual Politics. I already told you that what is this? This is your PYQ. Wherever you see me marking a star or something like that, consider it a PYQ, or I will, of course, utter the words that this is a PYQ and this has been asked as the question in the NET examination. So, we see the other works that we see, her autobiography. These are some important details, these are some important details that a person should be knowing of, that she wrote her autobiography Flying in the year 1974. Feminist views के ऊपर है, and identity as a lesbian. So, she identified as a lesbian. She was homosexual, right? She was homosexual. She was attracted towards women. She has tried to talk about it in her work, in her autobiography, right? She has other literary works such as Sita, which got published in 1977, The Basement 1979, where we see political oppression being explored, psychiatric experiences being explored, cruelty and aging. These are the themes of the works that she has dealt with in the literary sphere, right? So, with this we have seen that how different women have contributed to their levels and their extent to bring out the best that they can when raising out voice and fighting for their own rights, which was equality as well, which was gaining freedom if they wanted to write fiction, as Virginia Woolf puts it, right? So, if you have time, you can read these particular essays, or what you can do is one more strategy that I can share with you. जो main important works हैं, जैसे हमारा हो गया Elaine Showalter हो गई, उनके कुछ works I have told you, right? We have Suzanne, Sandra Gilbert and Suzanne Gubar, उनका work, especially The Mad Woman in the Attic. If you have the time, you can read it. And here, Virginia Woolf's A Room of One's Own, right? And The Second Sex by Kate Millett. Now, she wrote Sexual Politics. There was this one prominent other writer, I will just write the name here so that it's available to you all. There was this one more prominent writer, her name was Toril Moy, and ye match the following with students tend to get confused. She wrote a work titled as Sexual Textual Politics. ठीक है, तो do not get confused between these particular things when you are appearing for the examination. I hope to see you guys again in another video. Till then, you keep on studying. Thank you so much and have a good day. Bye bye.